Hey, hold on a sec. Let me start my timer. Okay, so IDW Sonic. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a very, very long time. So let me just start with the overall thoughts for those of you who just want to figure out and go. Super impressive. But because of its growth over time, I think based on where we started with the metal virus and where we are right now with the Riders-esque kind of a clean sweepstakes, I believe it's called, arc. Massive growth and super responsive to feedback. The entire team at IDW has my never-ending applause, because this is what I always wanted when I said, not exactly the ideas presented, I'll get into that. We're starting zoomed out. So this is what I always wanted when I made the claims a long time ago that I thought it would be beneficial for the comics to be canon. Now, that comes with drawbacks that I'm aware of, and I'm sure that it'll come up in a future video, but the positives that I'm focused on right now is this ends up becoming a very great place to workshop among fans and, well, there is also a gray area, fans and officials, right? There are people who are fans that are also working on official projects right now, and they're in my generation, so I can kind of empathize with them trying to receive feedback from fans, and I can see it a lot. Let's refer to the arc that we're going into right now, right? A lot of criticisms earlier on in IDW Sonic's run is mostly Sonic's characterization. Did a whole video on Sonic's character, I don't know what side it is. So check that out for the general idea of what I like, in my opinion, very particularly from Sonic. So that ties to kind of where the criticisms come from for IDW Sonic's characterization. Earlier on, they thought that Sonic, or critics of IDW Sonic's characterizations would say that he was a little bit too wordy, a little too preachy, and I would say I agree. And I found that incrementally and naturally, IDW Sonic's characterization has addressed this concern. There was a moment in the arc I'm reading right now, the Riders arc, where somebody asks him, like, why don't you just, like, I forget what it is. I believe it's the radio host guy who's like an owl. I love that character, and the character designs are so good. They're just so much more authentic to how the characters in the official games look, in my opinion, though I did like the Archie reboot character designs as well. Unfortunately, that couldn't continue. Another video. I will make a video on Archie Sonic. However, back on track, right? This characterization moment, right? Sonic was given an opportunity by that character when they were just chilling and he was rescued by him to explain why he's doing what he does, and like, I forget exactly the question, but it had something to do with the fact that Sonic is disguised, and it doesn't matter if people perceive him as the villain, right? This has come up in past Sonic media, but it felt very familiar, right? He's like, I don't know, like, even if nobody agrees with me, I'm still gonna do what's right, even if I appear as the villain. Of course, it was worded in a different way, because that was very verbatim Sonic the Black Knight, because it's burned into my mind, but that was one of those moments where it really felt like Evan Stanley, who is the writer of that arc, is really addressing that feedback. Evan Stanley is also an individual I should focus on when it comes to addressing feedback, because their art style is actually present on screen right now, I believe. So I can talk about two things, right? This is definitely Evan Stanley. You can tell from the facial expressions. That's actually a perfect opportunity right there. So in this issue we've been seeing Tracy Yardley and Evan Stanley. Now this is earlier on, so the diversity in the art styles between these two artists are very noticeable, at least to me, as a visual artist. So early IDW Sonic allowed this, whereas current arcs, the style is a lot more regulated. And that's for better or for worse. Some people like this, where each individual artist can express their own individual unique style, and some people prefer the more rigid style sheets and style guides being followed. Right now, in the context of the greater picture of Sonic media as a whole, I think it's good that Evan Stanley, like I said, started to, oh wow, it's not playing anymore. Started to actually learn the style that's similar to Yuji Okawa, right? Massive respect. It wasn't from rude people, of course, right? It came from a genuine place of like, let's show the world how Sonic looks at his best before we start seeing the movie inevitably start to influence the main series. And I think we really got that with IDW Sonic. So I want to talk a little bit about the stories, because I didn't really get a chance to do that, but the story started really strong with the metal virus, and I believe that was Ian's attempt to kind of integrate that SatAM kind of DNA, or Archie DNA to the best of their abilities. Again, Forces did that too. It's hard to tell whose idea it was. But then after that, the main stories anyway, in the main series kind of dragged their feet a little bit, and the spin-off stories ended up taking the spotlight, right? Imposter Syndrome, Bad Guys, Scrapnik Island is incredible, but the main story kind of dragged its feet, right? But now the Riders arc, the main story, is now taking the spotlight. I'm super impressed. I'm not showing it because I want you to check it out. And the next time I talk about IDW Sonic, I'm going to talk about Surge, because Surge has gotten me, has been a character that I wanted in the Sonic series for so long, and Scourge or Gorge didn't quite do it for me. So I'll explain that next time. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.